Hi everyone, and welcome to the final video for simultaneous equations. In this video we're going to be looking at how we construct equations from word problems and then how these can apply to real life situations. Okay, so many of the real life situations that you might come across can actually be modelled using linear equations. So these are straight line equations. So when we're coming up with these equations, we need to first of all define the variables that we're going to be using so that we know what the letters actually represent. We can then use these equations to solve for unknown values that we have. If you can take some time just now just to write this into your notes jotter. Right, so just one example for you today. So here's a real life context for you. Jane bought 2 cakes and 3 cups of tea in the cafe for a total of £3.10. In the same cafe, Alexander bought 4 cakes and 1 cup of tea for a total of £2.70. First of all, we have to construct two equations for Jane and Alexander's purchases. Well, if we want to construct equations, we first of all need to define our variables. So we want to say, first of all, let C be the cost of 1 cake. I've used C because cake starts with C. We'll do something similar for T. T starts with T, so let's say let T be the cost of 1 cup of tea. Now we're ready to construct the equations. So for Jane bought 2 cakes, so 2C, and 3 cups of tea, so 2C plus 3T. That gave her a total of £3.10. For Alexander, he bought a total of 4 cakes and 1 cup of tea, which gave him a price of £2.70. So there we have the two equations representing the purchases for both of them. In the second part of the question, we'd asked to calculate the cost of 1 cup of tea and 2 cakes. Before we can do that, we actually need to find the cost of 1 cup of tea and 1 cake. And that's where simultaneous equations comes in. So as always, we can label these 1 and 2. Now, they both have the same signs, so same signs means that we're going to have to subtract the equations at some point. But before we can do that, we need the same value before one of our variables. So let's use the elimination method here, and we'll take equation number 2 and we'll multiply it by 3. So that would give us 12c plus 3t equals to 810. So that can be in equation 3. Now we've got the same signs, so we're going to subtract. We want to do equation 3 take away equation 4, seeing as it has the biggest c value. That leaves us with 10c equals to 5. If we then divide by c, we get c equals to a half. But since we're talking about money here, we can say that c equals to 50 pence. Since it's in a context, we need to say the cost of 1 cake is 50 pence. Okay, you must always relate it back to the context. Now, we're just looking for the cost of a cup of tea now. So as before, we want to take this value and substitute it into one of the equations. So we'll sub c equals to 50 into, let's go for equation number 2 this time. Now, we don't really want to use 50 pence in the equation. We want to go back to the actual numerical value we were looking at, and that was that c equals to a half. We'll take it back out of the context just now, and we'll use this value instead of 50 pence. So to put that into equation number 2, we have 4 lots of 50 pence, or 4 lots of a half, plus 1t, and that comes to £2.70. Now we're trying to solve this for t, so 4 times a half gives us 2. 2 plus t is £2.70. We can take the 2 away from both sides to give us a cost of 70 pence for a cup of tea. So again, relate it back to the context and say t costs 70 pence. Now we've not actually answered the question yet. The question asks us to find the cost of 1 cup of tea and 2 cakes. So to finally answer the question, well, we have 2 lots of 50p for 2 cakes, plus the 70p for the tea. So that gives us a total of £1.70. And that's us finally answered the question. Okay, take some time just now to copy this into your note shotter so that you have an example of this. And there's a question for you to try on the next page. I will scroll the board down in a second so that you can see the rest of the solution. There we are. Okay, here's one for you to try. This time we're looking at 2 groups of friends who went to the cinema. We're looking at their purchases of tickets and popcorn and looking to calculate the cost of 1 ticket and 1 bag of popcorn. And here's your solution. So 1 ticket for the cinema costs £6 and 1 bag of popcorn costs £2.50. Okay, that's us now at the end of simultaneous equations. You should now be starting to look at some exam type questions to aid your revision for this.